Warriors Unite! Back with an episode of Bigger Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose. Hope you guys are continuing to follow God's purposes and conquesting yourself first and everything around you after that, my friends. Hope you guys are having a good night. I wanted to kind of do another one here and try to catch up a little bit. Kind of end of the semester here for my teaching and helping out consulting-wise and everything throughout the Midwest. So I'm trying to continue to kind of catch up. I'm also thinking about doing something at least live for about an hour or so. We're going to talk about that pretty soon as well. So let's do some shout-outs here before we kind of do our topic. Hakeen. 500 days. I know this is kind of old, so I want to congratulate you, my friend. Keep it up. I hope you got way past 500 days. Keep it going. Gio the Genius, thank you, my friend. Brother Boldly Official Musick, thank you. George Jetson, thank you, my friend. Channel 3, a lot of older viewers. Thank you guys so much. JC Kennedy, thank you. Normie Weimarican, I think it is. Sorry if I mispronounce him. Freddie Tropzz, thank you. Blago Andrei, Mr. Perfect, VZ, Leo, Smiling Reaper, excellent, thank you, my friend. On the booster, as usual, and Darren Roach as well. Thank you, my friends, and we caught up with that sheet at least of shout-outs. All right, our topic for today. This was by SR92007. The name of the topic is going to talk about talking to women only during the day. Now, I know this sounds really extreme, the Warriors, but you have to think about why we're saying this. Let's kind of go back a little bit and examine what we're really talking about here. We're talking about conserving your energy. We talked about this in many different ways. Retention is a key quality. That semen that you have, that seed that you have, they used to call incontinence, lots of different things, other words. Brahmacharya, you can use celibacy, whatever term you want to use. You are holding your seed in every situation except to procreate when you want to have a child. Now, this is so different than we're pushing in society right now that we have to have these type of videos and talk about all this all the time and bring this concept back to people, because the idea is a lot of people are not following this. And because of that, they're getting the due consequences and not even aware of it. A lot of people are not aware. Their brain, their whole body is degenerating as mine did, and you don't realize it because you're releasing all your energy. And when you do that over a continuous time, your body gets decrepit and eventually you will pass away. And I just fully believe that, as all the research I'm looking at and all the research done over the last 200-300 years, you could see that this is not a great thing to do. In our society, however, because of profit-making people, power-making people, people want to control the society and make them divisive towards each other. They're putting all this out there, and all of a sudden, now we have people who are brainwashed thinking it's okay to release many, many times a day, and it's a great thing, it's healthy, all this other kind of stuff that goes out. And I know we had a few people talking about this, and I'll catch up with some of the newer shout-outs. But the idea, guys, is that, there is so much past research that was done and people writing about this for, the last 200 years, that this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing to release all the time, especially when you're talking about releasing to a picture and not even releasing within a woman and not even be able to have any kind of sex. The best thing to do, as far as what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking, is to actually be able to have intercourse but not release. But that is very difficult to do. So as a result of all this, we have to come up with ways, and they came up with a new NoFap movement, I think probably around 2011, 2010. And we all follow this because we're trying to stay away from and win this battle against the evil one. The evil one is got his foot in the door. And a lot of guys, a lot of younger people especially, were brainwashed. A lot of older people are brainwashed, thinking that this is the best thing to do, is go ahead and release, have sex every night, go back to the wild times of the 60s and 70s, and all the things, and the old Rat Pack and all the other things, wild time, that's the way to be. Live your life to the fullest. Well, what happened is people went to extreme cases with that. not only with sex, but with drugs and alcohol and all this kind of other stuff. And they're addicted to many different things. So they're the last person in control of themselves. And because of that, you can see that in what's happening to them. Like I said, back in 1998, I found this book, Kendler's book, The Fountain of Youth. And the bottom line with that thing is, as I've now figured out after all these years, that the bottom line is that the semen you have is really your fountain of youth. You have to continue to transmute it. Do the exercises, continue to transmute that thing up. Do not focus on women. Do not focus on having any kind of sex unless you're going to procreate. Now, I realize this is not easy, warriors. In this day and age, it's not easy at all. All you do is look at internet, people, posters, billboards, and all you see is sex all over the place. That sells money, that sells people, sells the people. But you got to have a level of self-control. Now, what does that tell us about a topic we're talking about? Well, SR has a very good point in talking about this. You want to be able to put yourself in positions where you're not tempted all the time. You're not going to be tempted by the images. You're not going to be tempted by the women around you. And now as I look out in my window here, I'm talking about, what is the date? Is around the, middle part of May, nearing towards the end of May. And you got beautiful days out here. Women walking around. They got some clothes on, but pretty tight clothes on. You got women half clothes on. All those things are very tempting to look at. This is where it becomes challenging. Wintertime is a little different. People have overcoats on. You don't see as much. This is why you go back to some of the old traditional types of things in the past. And a lot of the women, they wore, things on their heads. You couldn't see them. They had masks and everything. Because what happens is males are very visually oriented. They get tempted pretty easily when it comes to the female figure. And so what you got to do is you got to think to yourself, okay, I have to be able to stop and prevent myself with this. And there's a lot of techniques we're talking about. One of the best techniques that I think SR is talking about here is look at the times that you used to release. And I say used to because you're breaking that habit. When did you used to release? I know in my case, it's the nighttime that you have to stay away from. But what I like what SR talks about here, he talks about talking to women, focusing on women only during the day. And that is a key thing because a lot of different things happen, especially at nighttime. You're more relaxed. You're not working. You're not working out. You're sleeping. This is the time where you're more apt to have, these type of issues, relapsing. Also kind of, wet dreams, things that we talk about, that's a possibility at night. Especially if you're waking up between 3 and 5 in the morning, you may get dreams and you may have those things thinking about yourself. That's when you have to kind of focus on everything before you go to bed, especially at the nighttime, should be focusing on your goals, what you should be doing the next day, the next hour, the next week, whatever it may be. So the goal setting is important, but as well as focusing on women only a certain part of the time during the day. And I would say during the day is the best time because what you're going to do is you're in work mode during the day. It's much more easier to get excited and tempted at night, late at night especially. That's why people do things at the bars, they do things at parties, they go out on a town. All those things happen at night. They don't happen during the day. The daytime is a little more difficult for many reasons we could talk about. The daytime, you don't get as much of that level of excitement, of looking at things and saying, okay, let's go ahead and focus on this. Let's focus on trying to, find somebody at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not going to happen. That's not easily going to happen as it is at nighttime. When all of a sudden you're dressed to the tilt, you're going out, you're going partying, all kinds of things like that. You're having a little alcohol, you're having a little bit of this and that, and all of a sudden, now you're sitting there being tempted. And you find an attractive girl, and you say, okay, we should do something, and that all of a sudden leads you down the wrong path of one-night stands and all that kind of stuff as well. This is why it's important that SR is, I think, right on mark on this, is that if you can focus on women as being something you deal with during the day, and you focus on women in your mind, And I think there's another suggestion we talked about before, and I heard it somewhere, focusing on women. When you look at women, you look at them either as skeletons, a set of bones, or you look at them as your mom or your sister or your daughter, whatever it might be. You don't look at them as someone who is a desirable, fertile time person. Once you start looking at them that way, you treat them differently. You treat them more like an object. You treat them as more of a conquest. And all of a sudden now you're running into all kinds of problems with temptation. What you got to do is look at them as just a normal type of person. And if you look at them as a family member or something like that, you're not going to go ahead and get excited about that type of thing. And that's where I think is a key quality. You treat them differently. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you're not going to get huge level of attraction from women, because it is something that's going to happen under semen retention anyway. First of all, women want a strong male. They want a male that's going to be strong enough to be able to, push back on them, lead them, and be that strong male. And just the force of your nature, the force of this energy we're talking about, the force of the power of your voice changes, all of this changes. Your look changes, things like that. Therefore, as you change, the women will become attracted. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen to you, because it's going to happen. The key is going to be how you react to it. And this is the stoic nature we're talking about within what we talk about here. The stoic nature talks about the fact that you need to detach from these situations. And so even though a woman is attracted to you, now my case is even doubling more because I'm a married person, married warrior, and I have no interest in doing any of that at all. And so now I have to take a next step and basically just kind of, be polite and it's flattering, but it's moving on. Time to move on. That's not easy, of course, because you have attracted people and you're going to have those, you are blessed with that sort of nature. Men are blessed with that nature. But what we do with it is the key. And again, the attraction is great, especially for a lot of you younger guys. The attraction is wonderful. But again, as some people even mentioned today to me in the emails, be careful, because you don't know what's going to happen and what the purpose of this woman has for you. Maybe something that's sincere. It may also be somebody they're looking at, being with a successful person. They want to be with somebody who generates that kind of power. They want to, have your energy. It could be lots of reasons. But the key is going to go back to you having goals, focusing on your goals, focusing on bettering yourself. The motto is get yourself better 1% every day. This is the 1% club. So we're going to focus on 1%. Every day, become 1% better than yesterday in something. 1% better every day, and eventually you're going to move yourself up stronger and stronger. I'm not going to tell you you're not going to get lots of women and lots of opportunities and other things as well. Business world and all things. You're going to get that. Because as you better yourself, you become less than 1% of this whole world. And because of that, you're going to be noticed. People are going to notice you. They're going to come looking for you, and they want to be part of your life. The question is going to be, do you want them part of your life? And that's the key to this whole thing. Women especially. Because women are going to be all over the place for you. Because they're going to see a man who's different than 99% of those other men out there. All the men out there, in my opinion, are wuss heads. They're desperate. They're thirsty. Whatever you want to call it. And they're giving off the wrong vibes to women. And women see that. They understand that. They complain about it all the time. They know that this man may be fun to be with, but they don't want that kind of man. They don't fantasize about that kind of man. They want a man who takes control. And in many cases, they want also to have somebody who can dominate them at times as well. This is kind of something that's really important to look at. Because women, this is part of women's nature. They need to also feel secure and safe with somebody. Which means they need to have somebody who can dominate the situation if they have to. And that's a key type of thing. Women are wonderful, but you got to look at it the right perspective. And that's important. So I think SR's got a great point here. You want to keep your business with women during the day. You don't want to focus at night. You want to stay away from the night type of situation because it could be dangerous for you. Do your stuff. Get yourself better all the time. Instead of going out at night, go work out a little bit. Take a walk, exercise. I'm going to do that myself in a few minutes here, and continue to progress yourself, getting better 1% every day. All right, friends, enough for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wanted to kind of touch on base. This is a little different than the one we did yesterday, dating. I want to just kind of talk about, because Ed started a good point. There's a lot of things to this. Now, tomorrow, next day, we're going to focus on what Spiritus and Ashkosh Pathod talked about a little bit, and that is what do we call a masculine man in semen retention, and also how do you handle people who try to dominate you as part of this masculine man. We'll talk about that more the next time. All right, so 2 things we leave you before we leave, my friends. 1, every day is a new day to a great warrior, and you guys are all great warriors. And number 2, my friends, you know I'm going to start yelling in a second here, because I think this is a battle that we can win. We got to continue fighting, bud, and we get better, each one of us, 1% of the day. We become more than 1%, it moves to 2%, and all of a sudden this becomes now the norm, and all of a sudden we bring back the masculine male in this world the way it should be. There's too many males out there that are wuss heads and people that should not be sitting out there, and there should not be representing males the way we're representing males. That's got to change, or else we're gonna be a sad society. It's gonna be taken over pretty easily by any other country that wants to come in and take us over. All right, God bless you guys, and once again, remember,